everybody, it's Connie with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Today we're going to be doing another upcycle project. We're going to be using chipboard. Now you may recognize this chipboard. If you've been buying Stampin' Up products, you know that a lot of our products actually come with a piece of this chipboard in it. We do it to protect it during shipping so that your product gets to you in pristine condition. But don't be throwing that away. It's really a fantastic product. We just need to learn how to use it in some creative ways. So today I'm going to be sharing several different techniques, how to take that chipboard and use it with your Big Shot. The first technique I want to share with you is how to use chipboard and your bigs dies. These are absolutely fantastic for using with chipboard because they're meant to go through really thick layers. So what you're going to do, you're either going to cut down your chipboard to the image that you need, or you can just go with a whole sheet and keep those stored in a Ziploc bag or something. We're going to take our cutting plates. We're going to put a cutting plate on top, a cutting plate on bottom, and we're going to run that through the Big Shot. As you run this through the Big Shot, it is a tight fit. Don't worry, you're not breaking anything. You only want to go through the Big Shot one time. Only roll it through one time. You can see these fabulous images that we get here. Now this is the Perfect Pennants Bigs die. You can see it's going to be absolutely fantastic to create a long banner with, and I can put these in between. So that's going to make a good sturdy banner that I could use year round. Now what to do with these? Let me share with you a little banner that I created for my daughter who's attending Oklahoma City University. I really intend to make a great big banner with it, but I decided for this one I'll just make a little door hanger. Because it's so sturdy and heavy duty, I know that it's going to last a while. And I don't know if you noticed here, but I've got some really great letters that are also done with chipboard. Let me share with you how I did that. I used the, I always forget the name, Perfect Prints. The alphabet die. Really love this one. What you can do here is just take your chipboard, put it on your die. You're going to run it through the exact same way. Again, only run it through one time when you're using the bigs. And when those come out, they start looking like this. Really great letters. I absolutely love them. Nice and thick. And from here, you can either color them with ink. You can color them with embossing powder, which is what I did here. I'll show you that technique here in just a minute. But you could just use your markers on them as well. So really simple to use the alphabets with your chipboard as well. Now let's talk about how to use your framelits with chipboard. Framelits are a little bit trickier. It's not quite the same process. We have a little more work to do because they are so thin. I'm going to bring in my Big Shot, and I'm also going to bring in, let me get it over here. That is my magnetic platform. I'm going to take my cutting plate. I'm going to take a piece of chipboard and, of course, my framelit blade side down. And we're going to run this through. And with the framelits, you want to run them through three times. So 1, go back through, 2, and 3 times the charm. So there is my framelit. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. I know you can probably see it does not cut all the way through. The chipboard is too thick. So what you're going to do is you're actually just going to bend back your chipboard around the framelit. You notice it's going to tear. Guys, this is very thin. It just took off a tiny little layer. That's fine with me. So I now have a really great and still very thick framelit that I was able to work with. Now, what to do with this when it's all done? Well, let me show you one. This is a bigger one that I cut out. You can also then follow up with some designer series paper, and we can just adhere this down. Let me show you my favorite way for adhering it down. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat just in case I get messy. I find that Stampin' Up's glue sticks are the absolute best thing on the planet for adhering designer paper onto chipboard. The reason being, one, I can get this glue in all the little corners. I know everything's going to have really good coverage. Because my chipboard is raised, I'm not getting glue all over the place. That's kind of a bonus, right? But my favorite reason for using the glue stick is this right here. When I go to lay my designer paper on, I have the ability to wiggle that paper around until I get it set right where I want it, and I feel like I'm good there. We're going to give that a good press. You notice I did it on the rough side of the framelit because I wanted the back side pretty. Of course, I could add designer paper on the back side as well, but I now have strengthened that, even though, as I said, it really is just a thin little piece of paper that I lost in there. But by adding the designer paper, I get a really nice, thick piece of chipboard. Another technique that I love is to heat emboss it, as I showed you earlier. Now, this one I did in gold. This one I did in white. But let me show you how easy it is to do that. I'm going to come in with my Versamark pad. You can take your chipboard and just press it onto the Versamark pad like so. I'm going to take my paper piercer just to gently give that a lift. And I can now come in with some gold embossing powder. And we're just going to sprinkle that on. Actually, you know what? Let's just dunk it. How about that? I'm going to take my paper piercer. Check this out. I'm just going to lightly dig it in there. That gives me the ability to pick it up, tap it up. Whoops, not quite far enough. There we go. I now have something to hold on to while I use my heat tool and melt that great gold embossing powder. Pretty cool little technique there. Great use of the Versamark and some embossing powder. Another technique is that you can stamp on it. You can just ink it up. Let me show you how I did that because there is a little trick to that as well. You're going to take your chipboard image and just press it onto the ink pad. Now I'm going to tell you, it's going to soak up some ink, guys. So be prepared to come along and re-ink that when you're done. I'm going to come in with my paper piercer. Again, making sure don't dig into your ink pad. There we go. That is in Daffodil Delight. But I want to show you something. That's in Daffodil Delight. You see, this is very, very dark right now. Once it's dried, it actually turns out very light. So don't let this scare you when you first go to ink up an image. So I'm going to move this little wet image out of the way here. Let me show you a card that I did with some stamped hearts from the Hearts collections of framelits. The back one here, the inside, that's done in Melon Mambo. The one here on top is Blushing Bride and then Real Red. So you can see very different colors. They do come out just a tad darker than the actual color. So you might keep that in mind as you're working with it. The reason being, well, you know, that chipboard's kind of dark. So it's going to, some of that color is going to show through. Now you may notice I actually stamped then. I came back and stamped on the dried chipboard there. So let me show you how to do that. Not that it's a tough technique, but you're just going to come along. You can do this after it's dried for a few hours, but I will tell you this one is dried overnight, and not that you need to go quite that long. But there it is when it's all dry. And then of course we can come in and do some great things with maybe our dazzling details. Check it out. Cute, cute. So that's just another technique that you can use with your chipboard. Here's a couple others that I did using the Deco Label collection. You can see I stamped with the wood grain stamp and sponged the edges so that I let the natural color of the chipboard come through. Really great for a masculine card, don't you think? Love it. This one I put I put designer series paper on the chipboard, and I'm going to zoom the camera in. Can you see how that has been embossed? Let me flip it over. Ah, there you go. Now you can really see it. So we could even let this natural chipboard color again show through and let the embossing be our wow. I did want to talk briefly about Stampin' Up's Thinlits. You may be thinking, oh, that butterfly would look beautiful in chipboard. Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the Thinlits are not going to work with chipboard. I do not recommend it at all for several reasons. One, it's just too delicate. You've got too many things you're going to try to punch out. And since they will not go all the way through, you're not going to get a successful punched out image. The words, again, it's just too thin. I was not able to do it. The little letters, which would have been great if those little letters would have worked, but epic fail. So I'm not going to recommend any of the Thinlits with the chipboard technique. Well, guys, there you have it. Everything you wanted to know about chipboard, probably more than you needed to know, but hey, you have got a lot of options for using all that great chipboard. Don't let that go to waste. It's going to make your projects look amazing, and that's what we're going for. There you go, guys. I hope that has inspired you to find some ways, whether I've taught you maybe some ways to use that chipboard that you've been hoarding for a long, long time. You're out there. I know you are. Or maybe it's just an opportunity for you to start saving that chipboard rather than throwing it into a landfill. We love being able to find new ways to use just trash. But boy, does it turn out to be some amazing projects, don't you think? Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today and being part of the video. Now, remember, you can order any of your Stampin' Up! Products at simplysimplestamping.com. I'd be thrilled to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Right there on the website, there's an online order button in the upper right-hand corner. Click it, order what you need. If you need a catalog, please just drop me a message. Let me know. I'd be thrilled to send you one. Guys, thanks so much for being here today. Have a fabulous day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.